Mm-mm. Hey, beautiful people. I am LaMondre, and I've got an incredible show for you today. I'm really excited about this one because this has been one of those weeks that kind of test your mantle and really test who you are and what you say you are and what you say you stand for. So I'm really excited about this show today because I get to share it with the man that I consider a true brother to me. And I promise you, when you get a sense of who he is, when you hear his voice, when you feel his vibe, you'll understand why I say that he is a true brother. And after this kind of a week, this is the person you want to talk to. So I think this is going to be an episode about authentic transformation. Yeah, because when you hear his story, you realize that his transformation has definitely been real and it's been true. And what's beautiful is that he helps others to transform as well. So if you're looking for a transformation in your life, if you're looking for ways to find more purpose, if you're looking for ways to be more fulfilled and to have a bigger impact in your world, I need you to stick around. All right? But before we do that, I do have a question for you. So if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, I want to know, did you know that 75% of people judge a company's legitimacy solely based on its aesthetic appearance? Yeah, I'm talking about the way things look. And that's why I'm excited to introduce to you our sponsor, Thing Hat Thing. Yep, Thing Hat Thing. That's what I said. THT. Now, why is it that the name is THT? Well, honestly, it was based off of the concept of Dr. Seuss. But let me tell you about THT. They specialize in design, web development, and marketing, partnering with small and medium-sized businesses to make sure that they have a stunning digital presence. See, at THT, they believe that digital marketing and all of its components should be easy and effective. In other words, their job is to make you look good so you can focus on what you do best, and hopefully that's running your business. So if you're ready to take your business to the next level, if you're ready to really begin to look good, contact THT Thing Hat Thing at thtcreative.com. That's thtcreative.com. And check them out. And make sure you tell them you heard about them on My Big Full Authentic Life, all right? Check my people out. So, let's get into this authentic transformation. Let's go. This is about the journey. Your journey. What's your purpose? All right, beautiful people. We are here, and I'm so happy, first of all, that you chose to spend this time with me today. I don't take it lightly. I really don't take it lightly at all. Because guess what? You could have been anywhere doing anything, but right now, you chose to listen to this little fella right here, LaMondre Pough, on a podcast called My Big Full Authentic Life. So I want to make certain that it's worth your time and that you get something special out of it. And I'm super excited today because the person that I am talking to today, he is indeed my brother. I met him a few years ago. We were involved in Toastmasters, and we were just looking to improve our speaking abilities. We were looking to improve our stage presence as well as our leadership skills. And you know how you meet people and instantly you're like, yeah, that's Kendrick. That's my brother. That's how it is with this guy. He is a high performance coach. And he has made some significant transformations in his life. He said that his number one value is transformation. So I want you to welcome and I want to introduce you to Vassil, and I always destroy his last name. Vassil, I always destroy your last name, and I'm so sorry. But it is Karamanov, Vassil Karamanov. Vassil, welcome to my big, full, authentic life, my brother.
LaMondre, it's incredible to be here. I got goosebumps from the intro. I've been a guest on many other podcasts before, but I gotta say, this is my favorite intro of all time. Super honored to be here. Thank you.
Well, man, listen, I am super honored to have you, and I'll tell you, man, one of the reasons, like, we didn't even discuss a bio or anything like that because I know who you are, and I honor your spirit, bro. I really honor just the genuineness and the way that you truly care about people, man. So man, I'm honored that you're here with me today, man. So let's jump right into it, man. I tell me about your childhood. Tell me about growing up. I know that you're from Bulgaria originally, and you came here early. Early. Tell me about your childhood and growing up.
So in Bulgaria, for those of you that don't know, it's a country in Eastern Europe. It's right next to Greece and Turkey. And the food is delicious and the culture is amazing. And at 9 years old, my parents told me that, hey, we're moving to America. And it was such a shock because number one, it was unexpected for me. Number two, we had to leave behind all our relatives, grandparents, cousins,
Mm,
friends. And three, I didn't know any English. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that it was a big opportunity. And I was still excited. There was some fear there as a kid for sure because I didn't speak the language, but it
right.
was definitely incredible.
So is that where your family moved here? Was it because of opportunity?
Because of opportunity, because my father, he's a go-getter and he wanted to create much more opportunity for our family. And Bulgaria was just not the place for that at the time.
Right. Right. So you moved from Bulgaria to the U.S. Where did you guys go in the U.S. when you first got here?
We ended up moving to North Charleston, South Carolina.
Right in North Charleston, beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. I was just there last week, and I'll be there next week again, man. So,
Wow.
so coming to South Carolina from Bulgaria, not knowing the language, what was that like for you? You were 9, you said.
I was 9 years old.
Tell me about what
It was
that was like,
strange.
man.
It was strange. Do you want me to tell you about uh, the first experience I had? So they put me in fourth grade there, and I had English as a second language as an extra class, but it was a lot of learning. I had to learn about 20 to 30 words every single day. But in the beginning, the kids could tell that I was different. And LaMondre, in Bulgaria at that time, I mean, it would have been extremely rare to see an African American, a black person. And when I moved to America, it was the first time I ever saw black people. So I was just
And you moved to North
mesmerized.
Charleston, so the majority of people in North Charleston look like me, all chocolatey and whatnot.
Yeah, yes, yes. So for the most part, people were pretty nice. But there was this one kid in fourth grade that was kind of in charge, right? And we went outside for recess and he started shouting at me. I didn't know what he was saying because I didn't speak English, but it wasn't good. And so he shoved me. He really like shoved me very hard and pushed me. And I used to play soccer at the time. So I jumped up and kicked him in the shoulder really hard.
Oh,
And then all the girls went behind me and they were like, ooh, right? So like I stood up for myself and I'm really glad that happened. It was like a reflex. It happened so fast, but I really prevented myself from getting bullied, I think, because I did that action the first time it happened to me.
oh yeah, man. You definitely set the stage in terms of what you would allow and how you should be perceived. Because here's the thing: they already perceived you as different, but now they know you weren't like a pushover. You were different, but you would stand up for yourself, man, and that's powerful. That is powerful. So as you got more acclimated to the environment and the culture, as you grew, you matriculated through high school. And what was that like? Like going all the way through through up to high school and then eventually going on to college?
Hmm. Well, I definitely felt out of place a lot. I felt like I went through different stages, dressing a certain way and
Mm,
hanging out with certain people and always trying to find people, right? Was it, um, there was like people that were dressed like rap and hip hop. There was people that were dressed emo. There was people that was dressed country. There was the preppy people and just different stages trying to figure out who I am. And I feel like a lot of people experience that in middle school and high school anyway. But mine was definitely a bit different because I had a pretty big accent at the time,
hmm.
and it was a little bit harder to fit in. However, I feel like I definitely got lucky because my parents, they're pretty charismatic people, and they can be extroverted. So I was definitely an extrovert as well when it came to being in public. Now I definitely consider myself um, an omnivert. So I'm a type of person that naturally I like to go within, and I'm an introvert. But then if I am in public, I can definitely put on those extrovert shoes. So I had a good experience in middle school and in high school. And by the time I was in high school, I would say my English was pretty great to where I can communicate anything that I wanted.
Right, right. So now, after high school, you went to college. Tell me about your experience. Where did you go to college, first of all?
College started off in TTC, Trident Technical College, shout
Trident.
out in
Great.
Charleston. And then the University of South Carolina, the real USC.
The real USC, the first one. Absolutely.
Great. Yeah. And then I went to USC because I was intrigued in exercise science, health, and fitness. My whole life, I was someone that has been mesmerized by exercise, by nutrition, and by health, by
Hmm.
wellness. So I decided to make that my major, health and fitness, and study that in Carolina.
Yeah. What was it? What was it that drew you to health and fitness? What was it that brought you to that as an interest of yours?
Hmm. Well, I would have to say it's a combination of two things. Number one, it would be growing up, I definitely watched a lot of superhero movies and action movies. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Jean-Claude Van Damme, a lot of
Yeah.
fighting movies. And you really didn't see a lot of guys like that around. So I wanted to know, like, how can somebody look like that and how can I protect myself and how
Hmm.
can I feel good about myself, right? And then something else was the fact that growing up in middle school and high school, learning how all of a sudden life can be great, and then the next day it can be completely different because someone in your family can pass away,
Hmm.
and it can come from heart attacks and strokes and you name it. There's
Right.
different diseases. So I said, oh my God, I want to understand why people get sick, and I want to prevent myself from getting sick. And I just remember definitely being in a fifth grade, LaMondre, and learning about heart attacks, I think, for the first time in my life. And in my head, I thought I was going to die from a heart attack. I was convinced that I was going to die from a heart attack. And I
Yeah.
remember definitely having trouble going to sleep because I was so scared. But then that was just a thing when I was younger. But I think that definitely helped shape me into being wellness oriented and also the people that I look up to.
So when you say you learned about it, was it something personal, or was it just something that you heard about on TV and you started thinking about it?
Well, yeah. So my grandfather passed away from cancer in the stomach when I was a
Mm,
little bit before we left Bulgaria. So that was pretty tragic for our
right.
family, and I think that was definitely a big one. Yeah.
Right. Right. No, that definitely would have been, and that must have been rough because it was shortly thereafter that you all made this huge transition. So you had a lot of, you had a lot of transformation happening and
Mm,
transition happening at that time. So let's talk about that a little bit. So after you graduated from college, when I met you, you were a health and wellness trainer. That was your whole existence. I mean, And you were like ripped. You were in shape, and the thing is though, I could still tell that there was something going on. Tell me some of the challenges that you were facing, because I know that was a rough time when we first met, man, but you couldn't tell it upon first meeting you. It wasn't until that we actually started really connecting. Tell me about
Mm,
that, man. What was going on?
right. So LaMondre, shortly after I graduated, I started my own business. I was working as a personal trainer in South Carolina, in Columbia. And I got to a point where I was thriving in life. Uh, my business was doing extremely well. I was in good shape, and I was in love for the first time in my life. Now, before that, I had girlfriends, but this was the first time I fell in love.
Right.
So it was something special. So fast forward a couple of years, with that relationship, it turns out that it wasn't working out. But it was one of those situations where we both cared for each other and loved each other, but the relationship just had to end. It just had to. And
Right.
so when right around when that was happening, of course, I was. Um, Anybody knows when they're going through a transition from a relationship, that a long relationship or a relationship that's deep or that they've been in love, it's tough. It can be very tough mentally and emotionally, especially if you saw yourself with that person in the future, building a future. So that was happening. But then at the same time, uh, I ended up developing chronic back pain. And I
Mm.
originally, it started shortly after lifting very heavy in the gym the next day, just chronic back pain, LaMondre. And most people, when they have pain, back pain, what do? Especially in America, we go to chiropractors, we go get a massage, and
Right.
most of the time that fixes it. Well, I tried that. I went to a chiropractor. They weren't able to help me. I went to another chiropractor. They weren't able to help me. Got a massage. Nope. Then I went to a physical therapist, got an MRI. They tell me I have herniated discs. Now, at this point, LaMondre, my life is completely turning upside down because not only am I going through the emotional and the mental pain from the relationship breakup, but now I'm in such chronic physical pain from my back that forget about working out. It's hard to stand or sit for long periods of time, let alone work out. So now I'm a personal trainer that can't work out. And
Wow.
a lot of my identity was wrapped around exercise, and it was a huge stress relief for me. And now I couldn't do it because I was in a situation where I was stuck and I kept going to doctors. But there was no solution. It seemed like it got worse and worse. And so I really got to a place where, the relationship at then, I moved out on my own. And then I went from being somebody that's super positive, super optimistic, very purposeful, thriving to unhappy. And then pretty much I diagnosed myself as depressed because it got so bad that I lost my why. I lost passion in life. I felt so stuck. I felt hopeless. And when I became hopeless, I feel like that's when I really got depressed. And I can tell you I was depressed because for the first time in my life, I started having suicidal thoughts,
Mm.
just thinking about different ways to die. And then I guess it happened for a while, but then one day and I actually became cognizant of it. It really stuck on my mind. I said, oh my God, am I really thinking like this right now? And if I'm
Right.
thinking like this right now, what do you think the next step is? So when I realized how bad it had gotten and just how stuck I was, I made a decision.
Mm.
And that decision was to go 100% into personal development and spirituality to heal myself.
Mm. Listen, there are points, and I think all of us get to those points where we realize we have to make a decision, where we have to decide, when we recognize that we're in a place that is dark, when we recognize that we're in a place that is not conducive for living, any quality of life in terms of a good quality of life, that we have to make a decision. And it's interesting because you said, with all of those things that were going on in terms of the health and exercise, and that's great. We got to have that. But what happens when your health fails and you recognize that you and these were your words, my identity was so tied up into the physicality of it all, with health and wellness in terms of physically. But when those things are taken away, what do? And you went into that dark place, but then you realize, wait a minute, I have to make a decision. And you started pursuing that. How did you, or where did you get the strength or the knowledge or the direction to go inward versus seeking external sources to fix that?
Great question. I feel like a lot of people go to external sources. Um, it was just a feeling. It was an intuition, and I knew that um, I had friends that had gone external before with challenges, and it never ended up right. It never ended up well for them. They just put themselves in a much larger hole. So it felt like this calling, plus it was an opportunity, LaMondre. I realized, oh my God, this is actually a huge opportunity, because with the personal training, the people that got the best results, that transformed, that had those breakthroughs, one, I held them accountable, yes. But number
Mm,
two, they had the biggest mindset shifts. And that's why they had those transformations. And so I said, there's something to mindset, there's something to the mind. I know the fitness world. So now I have to dive deeply into the spiritual world and the mental world. I need to understand how my brain works. I want to understand habits. I want to understand fears. I want to understand healing. And that's when I started to dive in there and really heal myself with forgiveness, with journaling, with meditations, with podcasts. Thank you for what you do. Podcasts were huge
mm,
in my journey, books, right? And I started facing some of my fears. And one of my biggest fears, the biggest fear, was public speaking. I mean, I think
mm.
you might be able to understand that if somebody comes from a different country and English is their second language, there's definitely times where I've been caught. Like, I can't spell as good as other people, and there's certain words that I might pronounce a little bit different. So I said, you know what? If I'm going to master this mindset stuff, why not master public speaking? And then I went to a Toastmasters event, and it was like, that's it. I love this. And the people
Right,
there were able to influence. It was a big event that I went to the first time, and there was hundreds of people there, and you can feel the empowerment in the air, the energy, the connection. With one person speaking on stage, they were able to influence people's minds all over. And I said, wow, I want to be able to do that. So
right.
shortly after that, I go to Toastmasters and I join a club. And then I start going to different seminars across the United States to learn even more from other speakers. But I meet you at
Mm,
a Toastmasters event in Colombia. And I tell you what, at that point, I was definitely in a situation where I was still uh, in this place where I was hurting. I was in a lot of pain. And a lot of the mental and emotional pain was starting to get resolved. And there was
right.
still a lot of physical pain. But you are a new beacon of hope. You are a new idol. Forget a lot of the action stories from the movies. Like, this was something new, because someone that has muscular atrophy, and you've had it for your whole life pretty much, right?
Right.
You are still here. And not only were you there, you are shining brighter to me than anyone, with the way you communicate, with your smile, with your eyes, with your face, with your presence, with your message. It was powerful. And to me, it was like, now that is strength. And
Mm,
this man, I've suffered for a couple of years not having the physical body that I want and living with so much pain. But this man has endured this his whole life, and he's here. on a mission, and you can tell he has a why, and you can tell he's purposeful and he's changing lives. Wow, I need to
Mhm.
connect with him. This is my brother.
Wow, man. Well, I appreciate that, but I can tell you, man, that shine was just excessive oily skin. That's all it was, man. It was just popping off like that, man. You can see it now if you look hard enough. But no, man. But you know, I'm gonna tell you because I felt the same thing about you. When I heard you speak, I said, okay, yeah, I could see he's working really hard. He's really putting effort into his platform skills. But there was a heart. There was a heart that you had behind the message. I mean, because technically, we worked. You know what all the recommendations and the critiques that we got from Toastmasters, and every week you improved and you improved and you improved. But there was still just a genuineness behind that was like, yeah, this brother's got it. And the other thing that was really evident to me about you, which I believe set you apart from a lot of people, was the work ethic that you attached to it. I mean, you came in there 100% committed every single time, every task that you were assigned to do, everything, every level that you went to, you came in 100%. And what that showed to me was he's got it. He's the light. And it doesn't matter what the outward appearance looks like in terms of proficiency and skill yet, because you were so dedicated to it that it was only a matter of time before, because it's almost like this. When you put energy, effort, and heart into something, the universe has to catch up. The universe has to then say, you know what? Come, I am, and this is not religious at all, but let me tell you this. So the story of Peter walking on the water in the Bible, right? If you notice, everybody else was freaking out in the boat, especially when they saw this entity walking towards them on the water. But Peter was the one who stood up with heart, fully committing to this thing and said, okay, you say you Jesus. If it is you, tell me to come and walk on the water. And Jesus simply said this. He said, come. In other words, when you place a demand on, and I'm just saying the universe, no, I'm not a universalist, but I'm just saying that now, when you place a demand on the universe, when you put a demand out there in the environment, and it's with all of your heart and it's fully committed and you're ready to take the step, it's an open invitation. The universe says, come. And that's what I saw in you. I saw you making that demand. I saw you putting that in there. And so it was like, nah, no matter what. And so even when we started talking privately, you were like, hey, I want you to coach me on speaking. I was like, man, guess what? Come on, you know? And so it was beautiful to see your transition then. And that was also during the time where you were making that transition out of a personal trainer over into the area that you focus on now. So I want you to tell me a little bit about your NLP training and why you did that and what that means. Most people don't even know what that is, bruh. Okay? So let's talk about that a little bit.
NLP is neuro linguistic programming. So
Okay, big words. Let's go.
the easiest way to explain it is the lost user manual of the mind. Understanding how your mind works, understanding that we are made out of patterns, the way we think and where we grew up. Our identity is crafted by our beliefs and our truths and what we believe and the things that we do and the things that we don't do. And really, this craft of NLP was created by taking the world's best therapist and hypnotherapist and psychologist, the best of the best, and studying why they got such breakthroughs with their clients. And they created a new field called NLP, neuro linguistic programming. And the amazing thing about NLP is that you can use it to bring about huge, massive breakthroughs in your life. For
Mm.
example, we know that there's therapists out there that definitely help people through rough times. But there's also people that go to therapy for decades and years and don't get the results that they were seeking and still feel depressed and down and something's unaligned. Something is off. And with NLP, it is tools that can give you huge breakthroughs quickly. So that's what really drew me through it. So I said, if I'm going to be a life coach, a high performance coach, I want to be certified in modalities that can give people big transformations, huge breakthroughs, because we don't always have the energy and the time and the capacity to keep going and going and going and going and yo-yoing. It's not about that. It's about the breakthroughs. So I decided to sign up LaMondre for this training that was 7 days long in Atlanta. And on the first day, I met her.
Ah,
The one. Now, for the longest time, I was living with this thought is, can I find it again? When I say it, I mean LOVE, love.
right.
Mm. And I wasn't sure. And my heart wasn't fully open. But when I got there and Lexi was in front of me, there was butterflies, there was fireworks, there was alignment. And during that training, there was a lot more healing that happened, because in order to learn those techniques and to be certified, we had to teach it. We had to get it done on us. And I ended up not only healing massively during that training and even before the training with a lot of the spirituality and meditations that I experienced, but I found love again. And then COVID happens. Now, she was living in San Antonio. I was living in South Carolina. So I asked her to quarantine with me. She moved in with me. We started dating. We fell in love. And now I had love. But LaMondre, I had healed mentally and emotionally. However, this was year 4 living with chronic back pain. And
Mm.
I had decided not to get surgery. And I saw an orthopedic surgeon
Right.
after I saw many doctors. And he said, I can't believe you are walking around right now when you have herniated discs to that degree. You need to get surgery now. But
Hmm.
then it was too much of a gamble. There's a lot of people that get that surgery who don't get the results that they want or come off worse.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to look for a holistic way to heal. And that ended up becoming a reality. I can't tell you how stuck I used to feel, how hopeless I used to feel. I literally felt like I was disabled and I really couldn't live my life. But then, after I put in the work and I searched and I faced fears, I was able to find love. And shortly after that, after understanding NLP and doing a lot of research on the back, I was able to completely long term eliminate my back pain to where now I am exercising. I am back at the gym. I can run. I can lift weights. I can do it all.
See,
And
listen. So there's so much to unpack. There's so much to unpack in that. But, first of all, one of the things that I think about is that statement that says the teacher will appear when the student is ready, right? And so you started looking at ways to improve your life and you wanted to make a transformation in your life so that you can help others make a transformation. But in order to do that with any real credibility, there had to be transformation in you. And I'm not just talking about getting a certification, because if you can pay for it, you can get a certification. But there was something that was different. The thing that was different about this is that you were looking for transformation. You were looking to make a change. You were transitioning from, and it wasn't purely physical, because I experienced your personal training techniques, okay? And so it was not just a physical thing at all, but the industry was based in physicality. It was based in what physicality brings and what you could do and how do you maximize all of those wonderful things. And that's beautiful. But when the physicality failed, you had to look inward. You had to look internally. You had to go spiritually. You had to go, who am I? What is my purpose? And how do I have other people find theirs? So you signed up for this certification course. You're working through it. But by that time, your mind, your heart, and your energy was right to receive the transformation that happened. And I believe that's why you met the beautiful Lexi. That's why you clicked with Lexi. And also, this is the example of the universe saying, come, of the environment saying, come, of God saying, Vassil, I hear what you're asking for. And I see the faith that you're applying behind it by virtue of you simply being there. Come, my son. Come. So that was beautiful. That's a beautiful setup. And it's wonderful that then the world shut down. And now you are locked in with Lexi, who I had, in that situation, I had the question, is she crazy? She packed up from San Antonio and came all the way to South Carolina. No, she's not crazy. She knew. She knew.
She knew.
That's what that was. She knew. So I want to talk a little bit more about this because you talked about how refusing conventional solutions to a problem that didn't really give you great odds in terms of your perspective at having a good outcome. And you mentioned that, you felt disabled, and that's because you were temporarily disabled. Now, understand that doesn't mean that your life is over, but what it does mean is that things may have to change. In other words, there has to be transformation. This is a theme. I see why it's your number one value. So when you talk about making your mind up and saying no to convention, just give me some backstory behind that. Herniated disc, horribly herniated disc in your back. Conventional medicines don't even know how you're walking around. Let's do surgery. You realizing that your outcomes could be horrible. You chose something else. What did you choose, and how did that manifest in terms of your physical healing?
That's a great question. Yeah. So one thing I do want to tell you is I haven't shared this much. So I believe this might have really started a lot of it. And it was when I was thriving. If you go back to where I was thriving, I did have one client, LaMondre, that was super spiritual. She's a wise woman. And uh, she asked me one day, have you ever prayed to your angels before? And I thought about it. I said, no, I've never prayed to my angels. I didn't even know that I could do that. I was still a young baby when it comes to spirituality. So I decided to do that, to go home. And I thought about it long and hard, like, what would I say? And I knew that for the longest time, I feel like I've always had this is I care. I love people. I care about people. I see people on the street. I feel like they're family. I feel like they're brothers and sisters. And I just have this trust on a whole different level. And so I've always wanted to help and serve people. So I got down on my knees, LaMondre, and I prayed to my angels, and I asked, please give me the tools that I need in order to become the leader to many people on this, to help them and guide them to experience healing, to experience confidence, to experience wellness. I want to guide them. I want to serve them. Help me become the leader I need to be so that I can be that person. And that was it. And I said my gratitudes. And then all those things happened, right? So I really believe, I see now that when things happen to us in life, especially if it's expected, if it's unexpected, and when it's something so big that it changes your life circumstances to such a huge degree, we can, one, become a victim of it and let it define us. Or two, we can accept it and then move on and take action, whatever that action looks like. So for me, I took action and I said, if I'm going to specialize in mindset, there has to be a way to heal other than conventional medicine, because conventional medicine is not working for me. The last option is surgery, and I've decided not to do that. So I'm going to heal another way. And it was treacherous. It took 4 years living in pain. And so one of the first things I did was to go all in into a meditation and mindfulness. Because before I had tried to listen to meditations, and what ended up happening was I fell asleep. And I was one of those people where I was like, I don't know if this works. So I said, let me take this serious. Like, I want to learn and experience this like a teacher would, so then I can understand it to a new capacity. And mind blown, I really was able to understand it on a whole new level and have huge alignment within myself that led to healing. Now, within that, I also did work on forgiveness. I started going to many seminars. I went all in into podcasts and books, and I journaled and I read. And all of a sudden, I started going from depression. And within about a year and a half to 2 years, I was shining. I was vibrating on a whole different level. I had this frequency, and I call it my spiritual awakening. It
Hmm.
really was a spiritual awakening. And the best way I can explain it was I was connected to God. I was I found who I am. I found inner peace, and I found unconditional love for myself. So, how did I get there? A lot of people in the world are searching for who they are. I was able to find it by realizing who I was not, what environments were not serving me, what people were not
Mm.
serving me, what habits were not serving me, and then developing new strategies and starting new habits for what was serving me. And then all of a sudden, I found it.
Mm.
And so those are some of the modalities right there. And public speaking was definitely a big part of that, because it helped me face fears. It helped me connect to people. A large part of my journey in the beginning, I felt very lonely, and loneliness can be like, it's worse than smoking 2 packs of cigarettes, they say. Right.
Hmm.
A lot of that journey, I had to go within and stay at home and heal, but it was lonely. And once I started doing public speaking, uh, I connected to many people. So that was extremely healing. And I'm so grateful for that.
Oh no, absolutely, man. It certainly is more than just practicing a platform skill. There is a connectedness. There is communications. When you communicate with people, there is a give and take, and that in itself can be healing. Particularly if it's an environment of positivity, if it's an environment of hope, if it's an environment of improvement, true improvement. So that's extremely powerful, man. And I think it's so interesting that you said that it was not about the way I found who I was by realizing or recognizing who I was not. And what's interesting about that to me is so often we we plunge into loneliness, we plunge into emptiness, we plunge into feelings of being devalued because we're trying to fit an expectation or what some construct or some societal view of what is normal has said we should aspire to and what we should desire and the process that we should take. And we may be thriving in those areas, however, we're still miserable. We could have a incredible career. We could have the family with the 2.5 kids and the 3 dogs and all of that stuff and the house with the white picket fence, and we're miserable because then we're looking for what is considered normal to fulfill us. And it's not until we actually get down to who we really are by saying, okay, how do I feel about this? And how does this, when this happens, how does that make me feel and why? And that's
Mhm.
when you realize, wait a minute. It might not be that any of these things that are supposed to be, quote, normal or acceptable in society are a part of who I really am or are even a part of why I'm even here. And it's when you start reaching inward to discover who you are, when you start looking for what I like to call the fingerprint of God in your life
Mm.
and start recognizing that fingerprint and living that out loud, that we start to see real healing, that we start to see real transformation.
Mm.
And I just love the fact that from the beginning, your mission has been my transformation journey. I want to share that with others to help them on that transformation. That was what the whole personal training thing was about. That's what all of that was about. And even taking it back further, when you talked about losing your grandfather and learning about heart attacks and how you internalize those things, it was still about you helping others not experience that as well. So your whole life has been about transformation, man. This is what I'm talking about, identifying purpose. This is why this show exists, is to help people identify that. And you have lived that out loud. You have done that. So we recognize that those things have helped you to heal in terms of your herniated disc. First of all, let me ask you this question. How is it today? I know you said you can work out, you can exercise, and all that kind of stuff. Have you gone back to conventional medicine to kind of see where you are in terms of looking at the bar of the improvement or the changes or the transformation that have happened in your body?
Yeah, I have not went to conventional medicine to measure it because conventional medicine was never what really worked in measuring it anyway. And
Mm,
so I measure it in how I feel. And I can tell you it is completely healed long term. I haven't had chronic back pain for over 3 years at this point. It's completely
beautiful.
gone, and it was a
Beautiful.
combination of learning how the mind works and the healing that I've experienced. And I've also, LaMondre, right now what I do is I help people that are high performers take it to a new level
Hmm.
by helping them with habits, helping them build more success and fulfillment and happiness in their life. I'm like a mindset detective. I want to understand how you think. I want to understand what's serving you and what's not serving you. I've also, though, helped some people eliminate chronic pain, back pain, and then some other pain. I haven't focused too much on that because that's not what coaching is about. It's more therapy and healing, right? However, I do want to focus on transformation. And for me, the biggest transformation is when you can take someone that has been so stuck that they haven't been able to find them help themselves, and other people, doctors, medicine hasn't been able to help them. There's got to be some way, and I want to be that beacon of hope. So I will always represent mindset, and I will always represent transformation. I'm going to keep leveling up and getting certification after certification. I'm going to learn as many modalities as possible because I am transformation and I represent transformation. I want to help heal people and guide people.
Absolutely. And you do that. You do that incredibly well, sir. So let's talk about that just a little bit more. First of all, let's talk about what is real transformation, because we hear these words and a lot of times what happens is it just becomes a buzzword and we think we understand what it means. We think we know what that looks like. But let's talk about it. What is authentic transformation?
LaMondre, authentic transformation. I want to give all the listeners a tool right now to really help them understand transformation and how you can step from one chapter to the next. So, one way I can explain it is just like the seasons on the planet. We have winter, we have summer, we have fall, spring. There's different seasons of life as human beings. And we are right now in a certain season of our life. Sometimes life forces us to get out of a season and go into a new one unexpectedly. And a lot of other times, we on our own transition into it. But what happens is sometimes people get very stuck depending on what happens in life. And so you see a lot of people in the world going in circles in this chapter that they should have left a long time ago. And the longer they stay in it, the more guilt that they have, the more fear that they have, the more sadness and anger and frustration that they have. And sometimes that life chapter can last years and decades and even a lifetime. And how does it last that long? Well, it really depends on something called the empowerment formula. The empowerment formula is C is greater than E. C stands for cause. E stands for effect. So when I want you to think about effect, all the people listening, effect is when you are looking for reasons why you are where you are blaming he did this to me, she did this to me, this, the government, the economy, you are a victim and you are full of excuses. Well, guess what? Excuses are just little lies.
Mm.
And the best way that we can go to the next life chapter is to become aware that maybe we have been in pain so long. Maybe we've been stuck so long that we are functioning in the effect state. We've been in the effect state so long that it has become a habit. And it's time to transition to the cause. So, what is cause? Cause means you are taking action. It means you are results oriented. It means you are in control. And that's where we can quickly go from one chapter to another chapter. That's when transformation happens. And also, like we've talked, you and I, transformation definitely starts with a decision of
Hmm.
going all in into something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. So it's about focusing on the cause and not necessarily the effect. And I love the whole thing where excuses are just a bunch of little lies, that it's really no matter what comes down, it's on me. It is on
That's
me. It
it.
is taking the responsibility and making the decision. Taking the responsibility and making the decision. I think that's extremely powerful. Tell me something, man. Share with me some strategies or insights or something where if somebody's listening to this right now or watching this right now and they're in a moment of transition, but they're looking for transformation. They know that there's something more in life. They know that there is something more for them to do in life, but they're looking at the effects of what's happening to them and around them. And they're at that point of decision. They're taking the responsibility or they're about to take responsibility. And they're looking at that. Give me something to share with them to help them move from transition to transformation.
Mm, I'll give you one of my favorite ones. We talked about NLP, neuro linguistic programming. Let's focus on the linguistic part, the language that we use. Who I believe personally, you are a master at using language and communication and words. You do it incredibly. And we all speak to people, and but then we also speak to ourselves in our head, right? So there's different levels of communication going on. We put labels on words in the language. So, one example is all the people right now, if you are listening to this podcast and if you have the ability to be in a safe place and close your eyes, just close your eyes. This will be very quick, it'll be very simple. And LaMondre, too, if you have the opportunity, you might have done this before with me, but just close your eyes and I want you to think about one problem you have in your life right now. And just realize how that problem makes you feel. How does that problem make you feel in your life right now? Just sit with it. How does it feel when you label it a problem? And just go ahead and open your eyes real quick. And I want you to think about what was the last thing you ate? What was the last thing you ate? And close your eyes again. Close your eyes. And now I want you to take that same problem. But this time I want you to change the label. And I want you to eliminate the problem label. I want you to place a new label on there, which is challenge. It is now labeled a challenge. Now, how does that feel, labeling it a challenge? How does it sit with you? Take a second, feel it out. Go ahead and open your eyes, and I want you to think about something that you're looking forward to doing, maybe this weekend, this coming up weekend. One thing that you're looking forward to doing, and go ahead and close your eyes. Last part of this. That same thing that was labeled a challenge last time, I want you to eliminate that label too. And it's that same thing, but I want you to place the label of opportunity right now. How does it feel when you've labeled it an opportunity? Sit with it, connect with it. Go ahead and open your eyes. LaMondre, can you tell me a little bit about your experience right there with how you felt when it was a problem, how you felt when it was a challenge, and how you felt when it was an opportunity?
Mm. When I looked at it as a problem, when it was labeled a problem, it was discomfort. It was hard. There was looking for a solution, but it was like a fevered, urgent search.
Mm,
When we started looking at it as a challenge, um, it still felt difficult, but it was an optimistic difficulty because I believe challenges uh, are to be overcome. They should be risen to. And so it was optimistic, though it didn't feel dark. It didn't feel heavy, but it felt strong. If that
mm,
makes sense, the challenge didn't feel heavy, but it felt like a strong challenge. Um,
mm.
and then we changed it to opportunity. And then there was a lightness. There was still a search, but this time the search was for the yes. The search was for outcomes and positive, and actually, opportunity for me expands to other opportunities. So
Mm.
it felt expansive to me. Like not only with that thing that just 2 steps ago we called a problem, now I see many more opportunities to increase the benefit of taking advantage of opportunity. And yeah, it was very much a happier
Mm.
experience. Yeah.
So wow, incredible. Thank you for painting that picture for us. And yeah, for most people, when they think of something as a problem, it feels heavy and they feel very stuck. Now, you have some people that are so competitive that for them, the challenge actually feels even more uh, better than the opportunity, right? It feels lighter. But really, something that you said that I caught was I believe that a challenge needs to be overcome. So that's a belief, right? So that's something that at some point you decided, you picked up, and as a human being, it became your belief system.
Right.
And now, because it's your belief system, you have anchors, certain anchors that make you feel a certain way, right? So we have different anchors in life. We might have negative anchors, we might have positive anchors. There are certain things that if we can just visualize, we are in fear and we're scared. And then there's other things that if we just think about it or we hear it, it's a song, oh my God, we feel good because
Right.
we've, right? So beliefs and truths are tied to anchors, right? And we have to be very careful what words we use because words are powerful. They affect other people's beliefs and they affect our beliefs. And so it's so simple. It was like it's the same thing, but it's labeled a problem, a challenge, and an opportunity. You take an opportunity, now we're just throwing hope. We're throwing courage in there. And for you,
Right.
there's even more opportunities from it. There's growth. So you're at the point where you're no longer procrastinating with that thing and you're not overwhelmed, that you're ready to take action. You're inspired action just by changing the label of what you put on it. Isn't
Yeah.
that something?
No, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. And I really want people to rehearse that. Rehearse this demonstration that you just gave us, so and apply their situation, circumstances, or whatever it is into those slots, and see the difference that it makes. Because that's very powerful. That's very powerful. Vassil, I want to know, man, first of all, what's going on? Tell me what you've got. Tell me what you're doing right now, man, so people can keep their eye on you because this is I believe you have an incredible message, man, and I think you need to be seen and heard.
Thank you, LaMondre. So, for everyone listening, if you want to connect with me, uh, definitely reach out on Instagram or on Facebook. I can be active on there. I'm working on launching a new YouTube platform where I'm going to have guided visualizations and hypnosises and music to put you in positive states. And it's going to be called Your Infinite Potential. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And something else, of course, is the high performance coaching. I work with people that want to take it to the next level, that want more fulfillment in life. And I just love working with entrepreneurs, especially. Uh, I believe personally, from my experience, that being an entrepreneur, uh, having your own podcast, being an author, whatever you do, whatever job it is, an entrepreneur, if you run your own business, it is one of the greatest ways to step into your purpose and to find your purpose because there's so many challenges along the way. There's so much unknown along the way. And I love supporting people through that because now I have stepped into the shoes of my authentic self, and it was because of the entrepreneur journey, because I knew I was here for a reason and I wanted to spread a message. And so I love working with entrepreneurs. Um, One more thing, LaMondre, is I have a retreat business. It's called Rejuvenescence. And this is for people that are burned out in life. They're very overwhelmed, they're stressed out. And so we have transformational wellness retreats. It is a way where you can travel to a beautiful destination and really be given everything. You don't have to plan much. We will feed you delicious, healthy food. There's going to be exercises to connect with people. There's going to be meditations, hypnosis. There's going to be all kinds of exercises and activities that elevate you, relax you, and rejuvenate you so that you can go back into the world feeling more empowered, purposeful, and vibrant. So that's called rejuvenescence.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Vasil. And I'll tell you, if you want to get in contact with Vasil, let me give you this link. It is beacons.ai / Vasil. That's beacons.ai / Vasil. And you spell Vasil Vassil. That's Vassil. Vasil, I want to thank you so much, man, for spending time with me today, for sharing your insights and your passions and honestly, man, just sharing your light and your love. This is one of the reasons I believe that for you and me that it was literally like this is my brother. And it's funny because I think recently God has just opened doors for me to connect with people who really have a heart for bettering humanity, for helping people see more than just what's in front of them. And sometimes we come across each other's paths in some really unconventional ways. But the truth is, I believe that we it may happen that way because what we're doing is unconventional. Because the journey that we're on is an unconventional journey, and it was destined for our paths to cross. I know that you have incredible things coming in your future. And I'm not just talking about the things that you want to promote, the things that you do in business. I'm talking about the impact that you have on this planet and the legacy of what your life represents as you make it every single day. And so I am honored to be your brother. I'm honored to be your friend. And I'm so thankful that you took the time today to share just a glimpse of that light with the beautiful people who consume my big, full, authentic life. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that with me, man. So I honor you, my brother. I sincerely do.
Thank you so much for those kind words, LaMondre. It's been an honor. speaking on this podcast with you. And I just wanted to ask the higher powers to support you so this podcast can grow.
Ah,
I can tell how you are so dedicated. I can tell the work ethic that you have and the passion and the purpose that you are bringing to this podcast. It's full of golden nuggets, and I'm sure you're going to have incredible guests on here. So I hope this podcast elevates to the level that it's meant to be so that it can help spread your light. Thank you for what you do.
thank you, my brother. Thank you so much, man. You know what? That's beautiful because it really goes right into our next segment. So on each show, I have a segment called Growth Hacks. And really, the Growth Hacks is really where I either share a word of inspiration, a thought, or a concept that people can use right away to improve their lives. And so what you just said leads right in today's growth hack. So thank you so much, man. All right.
Thank you.
So Vassil shared some beautiful stories with us, some concepts, some ideas, and honestly, it really is about authentic transformation and what that really means. And so today, in today's growth hack, I really want to talk about us having those desires, those aspirations, those things that we want to achieve, and how it's really time that we let go of mistakes and things in the past that may have held us back and reach forward to that transition. Let's go even a little bit further, that transformation that's truly yours to help you get to where you need to be. So as you navigate through life, it's natural to have desires and aspirations for what you want to achieve. It's common to seek a sense of purpose and fulfillment, something that will bring meaning and significance to your life. And for many, the older you get, the more you search for this sense of purpose. Don't allow your fears, your doubts and past mistakes to hold you back from reaching your full potential. I challenge you to not let them define you and limit your ability to make a positive impact on the world. It's important to remember that although you may be flawed, scarred, cracked, and bruised, in your own unique ways, you still have the power to make a difference. Throughout history, imperfect people have made significant positive contributions to the world. Their flaws did not hold them back, and you can do the same. Whether it's volunteering, starting a nonprofit, or simply being there for a friend in need, there are countless ways to make a positive impact on the world. It's time to let go of the past and embrace your purpose and work towards making a positive impact in the world. Don't let your mistakes define you or hold you back from reaching your full potential. Instead, rise above the critics and embrace your purpose, making a positive impact on the world and leaving a lasting legacy. So take back your power. Take back your control. Stop waiting for someone else to make you happy or for an external circumstance to change. Start now, in this moment, by making the choice to focus on the things that bring you joy, the things that make you feel fulfilled, the things that light you up from within. It's time to take control of your own happiness and live your life to the fullest. Embrace the power of positivity, gratitude, and self-love. And you too, my fellow imperfect human being, I say this: you got this. The world is waiting for you to shine, to spread your joy, and to live your life on your own terms. So what are you waiting for? Get out there and start living on purpose today. Do it today. It's truly on you. So that's today's growth hack. And I want to thank you for sharing that with me today. Do it today. So I tell you what, beautiful people, I greatly enjoyed the show today. Vassil, you are absolutely amazing, my friend. You are absolutely amazing. And I am so thrilled that you chose to join us today, my man. And I want you to know, I want you who's listening today and who's watching this podcast today, I want you to know that transformation is yours and that you can have the life that's in your heart to have. You can have the life of significance. You can have the life of purpose. You can live this big, full, authentic life that I keep talking about. And I'll tell you, if you listen to the things that Vassil said, it truly will happen. If you notice, we talked about work ethic. We talked about belief. We talked about even believing in making a decision and taking responsibility when things are hard. Because that's when your transformation will truly begin to take hold. And so listen, we're adding new features to the show all the time. We have a new Facebook page. Out there. It is My Big Full Authentic Life on Facebook. And of course, we also have our website, mybigfullauthenticlife.com. And so I want you to go check it out. On mybigfullauthenticlife.com, you have the opportunity to check out all the episodes of My Big Full Authentic Life. I'm also going to be uploading some exercises there and some other content that you can take advantage of to make a difference in your life. This is all about creating a community where transformation can happen, where lives can be changed, and we can truly impact the world and make the world a better place. And so please join us there. And if there is anything that you specifically want to see on the show, hit me up. LaMondre at mybigfullauthenticlife.com, or put it on the website wherever. Listen, send a message in a bottle if you have to. Just get it to me, okay? All right. And so as we bring this to an end, I am LaMondre Pough, reminding you that today is the perfect day to begin living on purpose. And if you're living on purpose, you might as well live big, live full, and live authentic. Until next time, God bless.